Hi guys, today you're going to be taking the computer-based Algebra 1 EOC practice test. Before we get started, there's a couple things that you need to do. Number one, make sure that you have a pen or a pencil on your desk and a piece of paper so you can work out the problems for the practice test. Number two, make sure that the calculator that I put on your desk works. Check it out, just make sure it works. If it doesn't, I can give you another one. I need you to make sure that all the software applications, including your internet browsers, are closed on your computer. Then I need you to launch that secured browser on your computer. Then I need you to select go to the practice test site. You are going to learn how to use the secured browser, the test platform you will use to take the computer-based Florida statewide assessments. This practice test is designed for students who will take the Algebra 1 EOC assessments. You will be given a work folder on the day of the test to help you work problems during each of the sessions during each session of the assessment. However, today you may use your own paper. Please remove all materials from your desk except your pen or pencil and scrap paper. Your computer or device should be open to the Please Sign In screen. Please follow my instructions and do not change screens until I tell you to do so. Now look at the Please Sign In screen. If you do not see this screen, please raise your hand. Look closely at your test ticket and make sure it has your correct name, date of birth, and ID on it. I don't think we have those. Raise your hand if you don't have the correct ticket. Make sure that the box for guest user is switched to on. Make sure that the box for guest session is switched to on. Now log in by typing your first name and it appears on your test ticket, your username, and the session ID train 124B 5. And this code is written on the board in a couple of different places, so please look for that. The first box will already be entered for you. The session ID is displayed for you. Click Sign In and raise your hand if you need assistance. Now you will see a screen that says, "Is this you?" Verify that the information is correct. If your information is correct, select Yes to continue. If the information is not correct, then select No to return to the Please Sign In screen and raise your hand. You will now see a screen that says Your Tests. Click the arrow to the left of the Start Algebra 1 EOC practice test to proceed. While you're waiting for your test to be approved, you will see a Waiting for Approval screen. This screen includes your first and last names, the session ID, and the test you will take. If any information looks incorrect, please raise your hand. Otherwise, please sit quietly while I approve your tests. Now you should see a screen that says, "Before you begin." Do not click before begin test now until I instruct you to do so. Click View Test Settings. You should see a screen that says Review Test Settings. This screen allows you to choose the print size, the background color, and mouse pointer for your test. If you would like to change your selections, do so now. You should see your changes made on the screen once you select them. You can click Undo Changes to return to previously selected settings. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Click OK to save your changes and return to the Before You Begin screen. Below the test settings, click View Help Guide. You should see a screen that says Help Guide. Take a moment to review this screen. These instructions show you how to navigate the tests and how to use the tools and features of the testing site. We will discuss these tools in more detail on the next screen. These instructions are also available for you to reference in the practice test. Click back to return to the Before You Begin screen. If you have any questions, raise your hand. Now select Begin Test Now, but do not begin yet. Listen as I describe the screen. In the top left corner of your screen, you will see the navigation buttons. The back and next buttons can be used to move to the previous or the next question. The back button is currently deactivated because you're in the first question, but it will be available for the later questions. Click Next now. Because you have not yet entered an answer for this question, you will see a pop-up message that warns you that you have not entered a response to one or more items on this page. If you wanted to proceed without answering, you would select Yes. To remain on the page, you would select No. At this time, click Yes to proceed to the second question. To the right of the next button, you will see the Save button. The Save button allows you to manually save your work. This is an optional feature. If you do not select this button, your answer will be saved automatically every 2 minutes or when you go to the next question. Look to the right of the Save button, where you will see the Pause button. The Pause button allows you to pause and exit the test. Do not select Pause at this time. Are there any questions? Now, I will describe several tools that may help you with the computer-based practice test, and you will practice using them. At the top right corner of the screen, you will see the Formulas, Line Reader, and Zoom buttons. Select the Formulas tool. A pop-up window displays the Algebra 1 EOC FSA mathematical reference sheet will appear. You will need to scroll all the way down, and if necessary, use the horizontal scroll bar at the bottom of the screen to see all the information on the reference sheet. Take a moment to scroll through the information presented in the Formulas window. Move the formula windows around the screen by clicking on the bar in the top of the window and drag it to another part of the screen. You can also maximize or minimize the window by selecting the double-sided arrow icon in the upper right corner. Click the icon to maximize the window. When maximized, the window covers the entire test page except for the navigation bar on top. Note that you cannot move the window to different parts of the test page when the window is maximized. Click the icon again to minimize the window. Now, close the Formulas window by clicking the X in the circle at the top right corner of the windows. Next to the Formulas button, you will see the Line Reader button. The Line Reader tool helps you to track line by line as you read a question. Now select Line Reader. When you have selected the tool, the button will turn orange. Select one of the answer options for this question and the line reader will move to that line. You can move the line reader on the screen with the up and down arrows on your keyboard or by clicking on a line of text with your mouse. Practice using the line reader tool on the screen. Now select Line Reader again to turn off the tool. The button will revert to its original color. Note that the Line Reader tool will turn off when you use some of the tools like Zoom or are answering certain item types on the test. Next to the Line Reader button, you will see the Zoom Out and Zoom In buttons. You can use these buttons to decrease and increase the size of text within the test page. 4 levels of magnification are available. Now, practice using the Zoom Out and Zoom In buttons to find the text size which you are most comfortable. The top right side of the page, above the zoom buttons, you will see a small question mark button. This is the Help button. Now, click the Help button. A pop-up window with the Help guide, including overview of the test site, test rules, and accessing context menu tools will display. Note that as with the Formulas window, you can resize and drag this pop-up window around the page if needed. This is the same screen that you reviewed before practicing the test. These instructions remind you how to navigate from one item to the next and how to use the tools and features in the testing platform. Take a moment to scroll down these instructions. Raise your hand if you have any questions about the information in the help guide. Now, close the help guide by clicking the X in the circle at the top right corner of the help guide. Are there any questions about any of the tools? Now look to the right of the question number and find 3 horizontal lines in a circle. This is the context menu. Click the lines to open the context menu. First, you will see a circle with a lowercase I, a flag icon, a notepad, a grayed outline that says Highlight Selection, and a set of letters with a line through them. Select the lowercase I. This is the tutorial tool. A pop-up window will open that displays a video tutorial of this item type. There is no sound available for this tutorial. You can also access the tutorial by right-clicking, if available on your device, in the question and answer area and selecting tutorial. Now close the video tutorial by clicking the X in the circle at the top right corner of the pop-up window. Now select the context menu and then click the flag icon for Mark for Review. This feature allows you to flag a question that you might want to review at a later time. You can mark an item for review by using the context menu or by right-clicking, if available on your device, in the question and answer area and selecting Mark for Review. Once you mark an item for review, the solid triangle around the item number will show the top right-hand corner folded over. A flag icon will appear next to that item number, and the item number in the drop-down list in the top left corner of the screen will have a flag icon next to the number. After you finish reviewing a question, return to the context menu and select Unmark Review Item. You can also right-click if available on your device and select Unmark Review Item. The item number will revert to a solid rectangle without a folded corner, and the item number in the drop-down list will no longer have a flag icon. Now practice selecting Mark for Review and Unmarked Review item. For now, leave this question marked for review. Now select the context menu and then click the notepad icon. The notepad icon tool will display in a pop-up window. If you want to make notes for a later reference, you can type them into this window. There is a new notepad for each question. To view your notes, you will need to return to the question where you type the note and click the notepad icon. As with other windows, you can resize and drag this pop-up window around the page if needed. The toolbar at the top left corner of the notepad offers special options to cut, copy, or paste text within your notes. Now practice typing text into the notepad and using the cut, copy, and paste features. These notes are not included as a part of your response, but they are monitored by the testing contractor. Note that you have saved in the notepad will be saved for the duration of this test. To close the notepad without saving the notes you have typed, click Cancel. To save the notes you have typed and close the notepad, click Save and Continue. Now close the notepad. You can use the Highlight Selection tool to highlight portions of a question. To highlight, click and drag to select the text you want to highlight. Then right-click in the highlighted area and select Highlight Selection. There are 4 colors available for highlighting: yellow, orange, mint green, and lavender. Select a color and your text will be highlighted. You cannot highlight over previously highlighted text. To change the highlight color of your selection, you will need to remove or reset the highlighting and then highlight text in a different color. To remove all highlighting, right-click and select Reset Highlighting from the context menu. To remove only certain portions of the highlighting, select the text you want to remove from highlighting, right-click and choose Remove Highlight. Practice highlighting and removing highlighting from words in the question. Now select the context menu and then select the set of letters with a line through them, which is the Strike Through tool. You can use the Strike Through tool to cross out answer choices that you have eliminated as possible correct answers. Click on the first question option. You should only see a gray line through the answer option. The strike through on an answer option you have previously chosen does not automatically remove your selection of that response. Strike through is only available for multiple choice and multi-select item types. To remove a strike through, click on the eliminated option. Click anywhere outside the box around the answer choices to turn off the strike through tool. Now practice adding and removing strike throughs. In the top left corner of your screen, you will see a drop-down menu with the words Items and up and down arrows. This is the item summary drop-down list. Now, click to open this list. You will see the item numbers. The item summary allows you to quickly move to different questions. You can use this drop-down list to revisit questions you have already seen or to see the next questions. These items are unanswered or marked for review are indicated in the drop-down. Are there any questions about any of these tools? Now, we will look at the types of questions you will see throughout the test. Unless instructed to do so, you do not need to answer the questions at this time. You will have time after we discuss the various item types to practice answering the questions. Click back to return to question 1. Note that if you have not selected an answer, you will receive a message alerting you that you have not selected an answer. While we are discussing these item types, click Yes to each time this message appears. Question 1 is an equation editor item. For equation editor items, the keypad has to be opened from within the answer area. To begin, you will read the question or instructions on the screen. After you finish reading the instructions, you will click the keyboard icon in the answer area. A cursor will appear inside the answer area, and the keyboard will open in a window at the bottom of the screen. Use the button on the keypad to create your answer. To close the keypad, click the X found in the top right-hand corner of the window. Other items of this type may have multiple answer areas. Some keypads have additional features or buttons that others do not. This means you must open the keypad for each answer area. This item has several additional functions and buttons, but we will go over these later during the practice session. Remember that this tool is not a calculator. It will not perform calculations for you. It only allows you to enter the response or expression required to answer the question. Practice locating the answer area and enter some numbers or expressions into the space now. You can either click the numbers or functions on the screen or use your keyboard. Now click Next to move to question 2. Question 2 is a multiple choice item. This question type requires you to choose the answer you think is correct. To begin, read the question or instruction on the screen. After you finish reading the question, read the answer choices. Finally, click the button next to an answer option to select your answer. The button will become filled in. To remove your selection, click that button again. Now click Next to move to question number 3. Question number 3 is a table item. This question type requires you to click in the blank cells in the table and type in your responses. Only numerical values are accepted for table items. If you enter a non-numerical value into the box, you will receive an error message. Practice clicking in the blank cells and typing response. Click Next to move to question 4, which is a graphic response item display grid item. Different grid items will require you to respond in different ways. For this question, you will click in the grid area above the number line to complete the dot plot. To remove a dot you have placed on the plot, click it again. Remember that you should only leave dots in the answer spaces that are meant to be part of your answer. When you finish responding to the question, check to make sure that the answer space does not have any extra dots that do not belong. Now click Next to move to question number 5. Question 5 is a multi-select item. This question type requires you to choose all of the answers that you think are correct. First, you will read the question or instructions on the screen. After you finish reading the question, read the answer choices. Finally, click the box next to the answer options you want to select. A check mark will appear in the box. To remove a check mark, just simply select that box again. Sometimes this question type will tell you a specific number of items to select. Others, such as this question, ask you to select all correct options without specifying a number. You will have either 5 or 6 options to select from a multi-select item. 2 panels. The left panel is the reading panel. For this item, the reading panel provides information to help answer all parts of the question. Some items with panels may include a question in the reading panel, so be sure to read both panels carefully. You will see the Expand Collapse Panel tool, which looks like a double-sided arrow. This tool will expand the reading panel or the question and answer panel so that it takes up most of the screen. Now, click the right-facing arrow of the Expand Collapse Panel tool to expand the reading panel. Clicking the left-facing arrow will return the screen to normal. Now, click the left-facing arrow again. The reading panel will shrink and the question and answer panel will cover the screen. Click the right-facing arrow to see both the reading panel and the question and answer panel. Now practice using the Expand Collapse Panel tool and responding to this item. Now click Next to move to question 6, which is a hot text item. For this item type, you will select a phrase to answer the question. The phrase you select will become highlighted and marked with dotted lines around the outside. To remove your selection, click the selected phrase again. The highlighting and dotted lines will be removed, allowing you to choose a new phrase as your response. Now click Next. Question 7 is an equation editor item. For this equation editor item, the keypad is already displayed at the bottom of the screen. Similar to the first item, you may also use the keys on the keyboard to create an answer. By clicking in the answer space, which is the blank box below the instructions and above the equation buttons, once you click in the answer space, you will see a cursor. Practice entering some numbers into the space now. You can either click numbers on the screen or use your keyboard. The arrows on the top left of the equation buttons panel allows you to move back and forth between the characters you have typed into the answer space. You can also use the arrows on your keyboard or click on the space to which you want to move your cursor. Practice moving back and forth in the answer space now. The arrows in the middle of the top row of the question panels below allow you to undo and redo your last action. The square arrow with an X in the middle at the right side of the top row of the equations button is the delete button. The delete button can be used to remove parts of the answer. You can also use the backspace or delete keys on your keyboard. Practice using undo, redo, and delete now. For this question, you will see the numerical keypad along with the decimal point and the negative sign. On other equation response items, the keypad may also include keys for additional features and variables. Practice responding to question 7 now. Are there any questions about question editor items? Click Next to move to question 8, which is another grid item. This question requires you to place and move objects from an object bank to an answer space. To begin, you will read the directions that appear on the screen. Click on an item in the shaded object bank and drag it into an answer space. Answer spaces for this question are dotted rectangles. Read the instructions carefully to see how many of the items you should choose and where you should place them. To change your response, drag the item back to the object bank and drag a new item to the answer space. When you are finished responding to the question, check to make sure that the answer space does not have any extra objects that do not belong. Now click Next until you reach question 10. Question 10 is an open response item. This type of question requires you to type your answer into an answer space with your keyboard. Click in the answer space and practice typing a response. Now click Next until you reach question 15, which is a two-part question. Part A is an edit task with choice items. You will select the best phrase or value from the drop-down list, and Part B is a multiple choice item. If an item has more than one part, you must complete each part of the item. You may now begin session 1 of the practice test. Return to question 1 and read the response to each question while practicing using the tools. There are 16 practice items in this session. Do not exit this session until instructed to do so. Remember, if you need assistance understanding how to answer a question, you can select Tutorial, which is the lowercase I underneath the context menu. You may also raise your hand if you have any questions. When you have finished answering questions in session 1, navigate to question 16 by clicking Next or by using the item summary to select 16. Now we will practice how you will exit the test if you need to leave the room for an extended period of time during the actual test. The pause button allows you to pause and exit the test for an extended period of time. Now select Pause. A pop-up window will appear and ask you to confirm that you want to pause the test and to ask your test administrator before pausing your test. You should then verify with your test administrator whether you should pause your test. For today, click No. On the day of the test, if you have your test administrator's permission, you will click Yes. Now we will move to the next session to finish describing all items in the practice test. From question 16, click the Next button to access the review screen on the screen. You have the option to review any unanswered or flagged items or to complete session 1. If you marked any questions for review, you will see a flag icon to the question number, reminding you that you have marked the item for review. If you want to review your response, you will click on the item number with the flag in it. You will then be taken back to the question you have marked for review. If you have left any questions unanswered, those questions will also be indicated in the screen with a triangle. Do not select a question number to review your answer at this time. Click End Session. A message will appear asking you if you want to pause the test. Click Yes. Now you will see the Please Sign In screen. You will use the information on your test ticket to log in as you did for session 1. Do not select sign in until instructed to do so, or you may be logged in to the wrong session. Remember, the session ID is displayed for you. You may now select sign in. Now you will see a screen that says, "Is this you?" Verify the information is correct. If your information is correct, select yes to continue. If the information is not correct, then select no to return to the please sign in screen and raise your hand. You will now see a screen that says your test. Click Resume Algebra 1 EOC Practice Test to proceed. While you're waiting for your test to be approved, you will see a Waiting for Approval screen. The screen includes your first and last names, the session ID, and the test you will take. If there's any information that looks incorrect, please raise your hand. Otherwise, please sit quietly while I approve your tests. Now you should see the Before You Begin screen again. Click Review Test Settings and go to the Review Test Settings screens. Remember, this screen allows you to choose the print size, background color, and mouse pointer for your tests. If you would like to change your selections, do so now. You should see your changes made on the screen once you select them. You can click Undo to return to previously selected sessions. Click OK to save your changes and return to the Before You Begin screen. Now select Begin Test Now. Now you should see question 17 on your screen. Do not start session 2 until I tell you to do so. If you do not see question 17 on your screen, please raise your hand. Now we will complete section 2 of the practice test. During session 2, you will see the calculator tool to the right of the formulas tool. Now open the calculator tool. Like the formulas window, you can click and drag the pop-up calculator window around your screen if needed. You can also resize the window using the blue resizing handle on the bottom right corner, as well as maximize or minimize the window by selecting the double-sided arrow icon in the upper right corner. Click the buttons on the calculator to enter numbers and functions. You can also use your keyboard. Practice using the calculator to solve a simple problem such as 1 plus 1. You'll have more time to practice using the calculator later in the practice test. Now, close the calculator by clicking the X in the circle at the top right corner of the calculator window. Now click Next and then Yes on the pop-up message to move forward until you reach question 21. 21 is a matching item. For this question, you're required to read the item and use the information in the table. Click the boxes which match the answer. To remove a check mark, click the box again. Now click Next and you will reach question 24, which is another question editor item. However, this item contains additional features. Look at the features on the right side of the question buttons panel that are for special functions that will allow you to create equations or expressions. These buttons will vary based on the question. If your keyboard has the equivalent of these buttons, you may use your keyboard to use the function as well. For this question, you will see the following special buttons. On the first row are the variables n and a. On the second row are the add, subtract, multiply, and divide buttons. On the third row are the less than or equal to, greater than, or equal to, and then greater than buttons. On the fourth row are the fractions, the exponents, the subscripts, the parentheses, the absolute value, the square root, the nth root, and the pi buttons. The fraction button will create two boxes to form a fraction, with one box for the numerator and the other one for the denominator. When you click the fraction button, your cursor will automatically move to the numerator. You will enter in a number for the numerator and then click or use the down arrow to move to the denominator. Note that you can add, multiply, numbers, and symbols in both the numerator and the denominator. To move outside the fraction, use the arrow button or click outside the fraction to move your cursor. The exponent and subscript buttons will allow you to add an exponent or subscript to a previously entered numeral. Once you have entered the base number, click the exponent or subscript button. The cursor will move into a highlighted box for the exponent or a lower box for the subscript. Enter the exponent or subscript number. Use the right arrow either on the screen or on your keyboard to move out of the exponent or subscript function. The parentheses button will create a pair of parentheses. The absolute value button will create a pair of bars. Once you click the parentheses or absolute value button, your cursor will automatically move inside the parentheses or the bars. Move the cursor outside the parentheses or the absolute value bars by clicking or using the arrows in order to continue your equation. The square root button will create a box set at the active region under a square root. When you click the nth root button, your cursor will automatically move to the index. You will enter a number for the index and then use the right arrow on your keyboard or click in the Radican box to move to the Radican. The pi button creates the pi symbol. Use the right arrow on your keyboard or clicking in the space to the right of the pi symbol to move the cursor. Practice using the special function buttons for this equation editor item. Be sure to practice using all the equation buttons. Raise your hand if you have any questions. Now, click next and you can reach question 28. Question 28 is an edit task with choice item. For this type, you will click each highlighted blank, click the down arrow, and select the best answer for the drop-down list. You may need to scroll within the drop-down to see all answered options. Once you have selected an answer, click OK to apply that selection. Click Cancel to exit without selecting an item. Repeat this process for each shaded blank in the item. Click Next. Question 29 is a two-part grid item. For grid items like this, you will see a graphing answer space. For part A, you will add a line to the graph. The Add Point tool allows you to plot points onto the graph. Click the Add Point button. This click on the graph where you want to add a point. To move a point after it has been placed, click the small circle arrow button at the top left of the graphing area. Then click and point and drag it. To add a line to the graph, first click the Add Arrow button and then click on the first point and then drag the line to the second point. A double-sided arrow will appear between the 2 points. You can also add a line without first adding points. To delete a line, click the Delete button at the top of the graph and then click on the line you want to delete. You can also delete one of the points to which the line is connected by clicking on that point. Deleting a point to which a line is connected will delete that line. For part B, click the object, a star, from the object bank to the graph. To move an object, click and drag it to a new location. To delete an object, click the Delete button and then click the object you want to delete. When you are finished responding to that question, check to make sure that the answer space does not have any extra objects that do not belong. Remember, if an item has more than one part, you must complete each part of the item. Are there any questions about the grid item? You may now begin session 2 of the practice test. Return to question 17 and read and respond to each question while practicing using the tools available for this session. Do not select the End Test button until instructed to do so. Remember, if you need additional understanding how to answer a question, you can click the Tutorial button, which is the lowercase I under the context menu. You may also raise your hand if you have any questions. After students, now we will practice how you will submit your test when you have completed session 2. From questions 31, click Next to access the review screen. Remember that the review screen will show you any session 2 questions that are unanswered or marked for review and allow you to return to those questions by clicking on the question number. Do not select a question number to review your response at this time. Click End Test. A pop-up will appear. Make sure the message says you have reached the end of the test. Click Yes to submit your test. Click No to keep working on your test. At this time, click Yes. On the next screen, Submit Test. A warning message will appear. Click Yes on this message. You will now see a message that says, Practice test completed. Click Log Out.